Hi, I'm Yael Cassander, Communications Director for the City of Bloomington, and I'm excited to be here today with Tomi Allison, who was Mayor of Bloomington from 1983 to 1995. And she served on the City Council from 1977 and 1982. So, wow, almost 2 decades in city government leadership. What a proud record, Mayor Allison. You were also the first woman to have been elected mayor of Bloomington. What a distinction. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Well, of course, we're here to talk about annexation, having sort of an ongoing discussion with various people who have a great deal of memory about Bloomington's history of annexation and can contribute to the conversation. So I'd like to start with your time in the mayor's seat. And so during your administration, you refocused energy and investments in our historic downtown. Our downtown really blossomed during that time. Many people may remember that you oversaw the reuse of the shower building for City Hall. You created a master plan for the city. And certain beloved traditions like the canopy of lights started on your watch as well, or restarted, some people might say. Bloomington definitely grew and developed a lot over the course of your 3 terms, not only in terms of population and built environment, but also in terms of defining itself and planning for our future. So maybe you can talk about, maybe we can begin with the way that you saw annexation figuring into the planning that you were doing in coordination with the county when you were mayor. Such things as the way that city and county officials at that time agreed on and planned for such things as the 2-mile fringe and areas intended for annexation, as you were coordinating plans in the best interest of our whole community.
Well, first of all, I'll do a little bit of history because you find out that after 10, 15 years, a lot of history is lost just because people didn't live it, and they. But when the time that I was in office, both in the council and the mayor's office, we had the difficulty that there was not sufficient funds to provide the basic services. You sort of have to look at the state of Indiana. Indiana, you have your constitutional government with your county government. Your county government covers your rural areas, your courts, and your welfare. And as the population grew, there were towns and then cities, because that was more concentrated population requiring different services. But in all these cases, the state regulates how many taxes you can raise, sets the rules in effect. Well, Bloomington was put at a disadvantage with those rules. You had a quarter of the assessed valuation with the university, which is a boon to our community and county, but they're off the tax rolls. And the city was caught with a new regulation and frozen at a disadvantaged part. So you had infrastructure, you had services, etc., that maintenance was neglected. Your roads, as your population were growing, you didn't have the wherewithal. So a great deal of our effort was finding new sources of income. And if you look at things in a overview, you look at what is the most cost-effective way to provide necessary services, the most efficient. And when you you talked about planning. Now, in our planning, we saw we were growing fast, and we didn't want urban sprawl any more than the county. Rural people wanted the urban sprawl as well. And the whole idea is more compact urban growth. And that's what we did with the planning, with the planned unit development. And the planned unit development, we did a lot of driving around the city to see what was developed after the 1995 passing of the new master plan. And you will see townhouses, duplexes, apartments, adjacent to single family, all part of the same development, with well-built streets, the right size, sidewalks, all the services on bus lines, and all lovely trees and greenery and etc. And yet, no peace reigns, because it was developed with the interests of these people. It wasn't done willy-nilly.
And so, Mayor Allison, if I can summarize, I guess I would say that your discussions with the county and the ability to plan in these areas that were, on the outer fringes of the city, allowed for those planned unit developments, the PUDs, to be undertaken in a sustainable way and in a way that limited sprawl and maintained compact urban form and had other benefits in terms
of cost effective
delivery.
Service, cost effective to supply fire protection. You made sure that your roads and your water supply and everything, you could give fire protection. You could get garbage pick up because the trucks could get in and out. The things that you think out, that you plan about, etc.
Right.
The problem with this, as I see the problem now, is that these subdivisions adjacent to the city often were planned by the city as eventual annexation. The developers and the people that purchased at that time knew that they would be annexed, and they knew that they would not be able to develop without the sewer hook-ons, and they signed, the statement that they would not object to annexation. The problem, and the unfortunate part of this is, it was not done in a timely fashion. So 17 years pass. Now, people, we're human after all. If you have been getting a service without having, at a certain level, and then somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, by the way, you're now going to have to pay more for what you've been getting at this particular price," and they say, "I don't need anything more. I don't need anything. I don't need anything." But not only that, I think the fire protection is another one that shows you what happens when there is not the vision of looking to what I would say. You need to provide certain services when you have concentrated population. You want to provide it cost effective and efficiently. Fire protection. Fire protection, you talk to any professional firefighter, you have to be 5 minutes from a fire station run. You have to have water pressure. Obviously, you have to have the equipment. Now, to have this at any time of the day and night, 365 days of the year, that means the location of your fire station, the water pressure, the staffing. Okay, that's why it makes more sense to the adjacent subdivisions. A city supplies this by just expanding existing staffing, existing facilities, existing equipment. Whereas a township fire department for the subdivisions, not the rural, was volunteer. Now they're going to have to staff up to 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, equipment and facilities. Now they may be able to put, say with the facilities right there, but they have a township is huge, right? So the people right there in that subdivision. But the thing of it is, the city taxpayer is paying county taxes. And part of that fire protection in those subdivisions outside the city is coming out of that city taxpayer's money. Now they do pay something special, they get up, they're getting some kind of a town, but they also are getting some of the county tax money as well. So what you're getting is duplication of services paid for by the city taxpayer.
Exactly.
But that's so this is what bothers me is what we have, because it wasn't done in a timely fashion. What you have is people distrustful, feel put upon, and and rather than concentrating or thinking about the real issues, is how do you supply necessary services? I'm not talking about what you would like you would like some other things. These are necessary services, okay, in a equitable way, an efficient way, a cost-effective way, without the idea of, is somebody getting it at a better price than, because we're talking about now sovereign people and their government, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what bothers me, is that we'll be off on all the tangents and not down to the real, what I would say, look at the common good is water service and sewer treatment service is a scarce commodity in Monroe County. We don't have a natural source. We don't have the big rivers, etc. So there's a reason we don't have a lot of private sewer treatment plants, or you have a lot of water treatment plants or something like that. So that's a part that bothers me. It's annexation is a lot of work, it's hard to do. But the question is, in terms of, if you're thinking of the common good for both the city and the county, then you look at it as a whole ahead of it. Now, the part that is the elephant in the room that's never talked about here is this. Industry is the driver. Industry is the jobs in the community, and industry absolutely requires sewers. And they require other services as well. They require, fire protection of a higher level, say, in terms of, and so, and of course, we have a philosophy that if you can get away with not paying for something, that's smart business. So there's a kind of a thing that, if you can get it for less cost, you're a smart business. Well, that's fine, but somebody's going to have to pay. Somebody is going to have to pay for those services, whether it's bus transportation for your workers or whether it's the needed water and sewer. And so a lot of the annexation really is the servicing of the big customers, and that the servicing of subdivisions is just about a wash. What you get in taxes is about what you have to pay in services, but in terms of the payback in that, but the cost of industry not being paying for their services can pull pull down quite a bit. You know, the budget of the government that has to service them. You know, the economy of this area is dependent on these basic services. And this whole area, and I do mean the people in the city and outside the city, both in government and out of government, the people in private business and industry, you need to stop the idea it's not my problem. People need to start talking about the commons. These are basic services required for any development. By that I mean, if it's industry, if it's any density in a subdivision, sewer hook-ons are required. Okay? And it isn't just because the city said so or the county said so. You know, it's public health, right?
Right.
And so those are the basic questions. And we should stop talking about, will I be able to keep chickens in the subdivision? And we should start talking about how are we going to peacefully and equitably supply necessary service and cost effective. Not that we're going to slough it off on another taxpayer, but we're going to figure out how we're going to do it.